Oh my gosh, you guys. So I recorded a little bit. I recorded a lot of it actually, and I didn't press record. I don't think I pressed record. I think I pressed record and then I didn't. And then I thought I was recording the whole time. And that's okay. I can redo this whole thing because the food's not even ready yet. So I'm just not gonna touch anything that has to do with this camera. And it was nice too, but take two. But you really wouldn't have known the difference. You know, I am making baked rigatoni. I think the noodles are ready. The sauce is on this side. I had a bit of a hiccup with the garlic. I should have just went in and bought minced garlic. Cause now there are just, garlic cloves inside of the I don't know, I should have cut them more. It's just, did I mention I was hungry? This video is to teach you guys a little bit more about music theory than more than meets the eye. I have used a little bit of the beginning. I don't know how much I didn't have, because when I recorded a bit, I was like, wow, I've really been cooking, literally. And then I checked and I saw to press the record button, it wasn't even recording, it started recording. So it's fine. It's so fun and awesome. It's fine. I still have the questions and I still have the things I can explain to you in a better manner. Well, I'm more versed now, if that makes sense. It wasn't like I wasn't versed before, but it's just like I've said the things, I've stuttered, I've did the things already. So now I just feel better saying the things in a more fluid way. I'm also very hungry, so if I do stutter, if I do feel a little stammerish, I haven't eaten since this morning. Yeah. To talk about classical music, you'd have to understand that classical music is not just one thing. It is a very broad era. There's many different eras. I'm also playing jazz in the background because, I'm playing Leve. Leve? Because her name is Icelandic. I don't like to butcher people's names because I have experience with people butchering my last name for as long as I can remember. I'm gonna turn it down because I don't want to get copyrighted. Oh, how I wish you wake up one day and I sound like God, but don't you feel it too? All right, so classical music is a very interesting thing to understand because classical music has many different eras. And we're gonna go through all of them, not in vivid detail, because again, I want this to be as very understanding and very beginner friendly as possible. And who would I be to just explain the whole conglomerate of music? Maybe music isn't really not a conglomerate, it's just the word that I can think of right now. So with the classical eras of music, you've got your medieval music from 1140 to 1400. Then after that, you've got the Renaissance period that was 1400 to 1600. Then this is where it gets interesting. 1600 to 1750 is the Baroque period. This is where things start to get shaky. Things start to get mixed up. Baroque period is used a lot in church, as well as most of the people that were kind of like brought up in the Baroque period, like Handel, Bach. Two different Bachs within each period, but we'll get there. You're probably wondering like, where's Mozart? Where's Beethoven? I'm getting there. Johann Sebastian Bach is very much known for his pieces in the Baroque period, if you didn't know. What do you guys know in Bach? Bach. Prelude Suite, Concerto No. 5 in C minor. I'm sorry. Cello Suite No. 5. Cello Suite No. 5 in C minor. Yo-Yo Ma is very much known for his performance in this piece. That is one piece played by Bach. Bach was known in the Baroque period, and you're probably wondering, hey, what's the difference between Baroque music and classical music? And the thing is, during this time, as I mentioned before, Baroque music was used a lot in the church. It was used a lot in you know, in weddings and in convocations and stuff like that. And Baroque and classical had a very distinct sound from each other. Baroque had all of these different melodies coming from different areas of the ensemble, whereas classical music has one specific melody coming from one specific section, and everyone else is kind of accompanying it around it, if that makes sense. Baroque period's got all these like, it's like something here, something here, something here. And then you've got classical music, what people are known for, like Beethoven's Fifth, Beethoven's Seventh. Beethoven's Seventh is also named Ode to Joy. You guys know that piece. Handel and Vivaldi are very much known in the Baroque area. Vivaldi is known for his piece called The Four Seasons. And then Handel is also known for Hallelujah. That song? You guys know that. You guys felt a little crooked, so I had to move you. Baroque works did not really cater a lot and did not have a lot of brass pieces. You still look crooked to me. I have to drain the pasta. Yeah, the pasta's ready. I just have to find a bigger bowl to. Oh, but I do need the water. I need half a cup of starchy pasta water. I don't believe in friendly. So now, once we're getting into the 1750s all the way to the 1830s, that's when we get into classical music, and that's where we have Beethoven and Mozart. I told you you had to wait. Just gonna grab this starchy pasta water before I'm just trying to get as much as possible. If you didn't know, Beethoven is actually Mozart's successor. Well, Beethoven was very inspired by Mozart in his work, and he kind of recognized him and used his early works in Beethoven's early works. Let's see, we've got a big strain here. Yes, perfect. See that in Beethoven's first symphony, that is just kind of a bit of an homage to Mozart. Mozart is known for many of his pieces, Marriage of Figaro, one of which we're actually playing in my orchestra, but because in certain areas of music in the classical music history, some pieces weren't played with trombones and low brass in mind. So when we have that, right, we didn't really get an introduction of brass and low brass instruments until Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, actually. So when that happened, it actually just it changed the curve for classical pieces to include low brass today. And it's very interesting because when you think about it, the absence is something, you don't really realize something is better without the absence of it, if that makes sense. It's 8 o'clock. Wow, I've been cooking for 2 hours. No, I haven't. I think I've been cooking for at least an hour and a half, which is fine. So when you think about it, there were pieces that did not involve trombones at all. And if that were something today, I'd kind of be out of a job. It wasn't like they didn't exist before. It wasn't like Beethoven was like, okay, trombone, I want this. Trombones were around, tubas were around, but they were only used in like religious settings. So once Beethoven added that into the composition, into the score, everybody was like, yo, you're actually kind of cooking. I'm gonna add trombones into my music now. I'm gonna add tubas in mine. Wow, I love that. So now we have classical music. And you're probably wondering, this, leads me further into the difference between band and orchestra and symphony and philharmonic, because some people get that really confused, and that's understandable. So, a lot of times, band and orchestra get mixed up, and they get confused. So people usually start off with band. If you're like me, who started off in band, usually started off band in like 5th grade, 4th grade if you're lucky. Really big difference between orchestra and band is that orchestra has well, they all have instruments. The only difference between orchestra and band is that orchestra has string instruments, band does not. That's the big and only difference between band and orchestra. This is the perfect amount of sauce to noodles ratio. I'm literally cooking. You guys, I might, okay. then think about it. We have to put this and we have to bake this. And we gotta add the cheese and the garnish on top. And we've got something special paired along with the food. I'll show you later. Wow, all right. I'm really growing. Okay, that's the sauce. Ooh, it just needs a little more salt, but you guys, we might have a winner on our hands. Okay, so a little more salt. And then I feel like I wish I would have kept a little bit of that water, the sauce, but this, you guys gotta see this. You guys have to see it. Hold on. Doesn't that look yummy? That's why I was like, I wish I had more, but the sauce is like, I have to continuously flip it over. And I think this might actually be enough to put in that pan. I was scared in the beginning because I didn't have enough of a dish to like, feel like I didn't have a big enough dish to put it in. But it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. This is perfect actually, because while I explain this stuff can bake. Okay, still recording. You're still recording. Beautiful, thank you. So sorry for all the lighting changes. I just have a specific aesthetic that I like to convey in my videos. I also hate this overhead light, I really do. Instruments and woodwind instruments. A woodwind instrument is a wind instrument, okay? So when I say that, right? Wind instruments are usually just instruments that use your body, use your lungs, your breath, your air. That's what we mean when we say winds. Winds, okay? String instruments, because I get a lot of questions about asking what's the difference between this and what's the difference between this. I'm adding cheeses and stuff into this. I'm gonna add Parmesan within that. Oh, you know, I'll add Parmesan and Italian into this. And then I'm gonna put them, you guys, you know, I may be putting Gordon Ramsay out of a job. Don't tell him I said that, I'm sorry. So, I get a lot of questions asked of me about what the difference between each of the string instruments are. And I will explain that to you. Wind instruments, ooh, garlic bread. I bought garlic bread yesterday, and this is gonna be done in 10 minutes, so I should put this in here aside really quick. The oregano and the parsley. I'm gonna heat this up. I'm gonna have this over the heater a little. So, with the string instruments, I'm gonna explain them by size, extra small, small, medium, large. So, the big difference that people get tripped up with is the violin and the viola. Which one is bigger, which one is smaller? The violin is smaller, the viola is bigger. And you're probably wondering, what's the difference? What's the size? Why do they sound different? It's because of their makeup. When you make something bigger, the amount of air that it takes in, the amount of frequency that it plays out, the tone and the color is all gonna be different. So with a violin, something being so small, it's gonna have that stringy, gonna have that like kind of twangy, kind of, you know, Fiddler on the Roof type beat, you know, things like that. And, you know, you can hear some people get like really wincy when they hear a violin when it's not played well. And I'm not saying violin doesn't sound great at all. The violin is actually the most well-known and beloved instrument because it's known to mimic the human voice. That's why people like it so much, if you didn't know. The viola has a more richer sound, and it has a more richer, deeper sound the bigger that they get. And another thing that I've noticed, which is actually kind of funny to think about, and it makes sense though, because for people to think this way, people think instruments are extremely heavy. Granted, yes, they have a little weight to them, but they're not like barbell heavy, like, you know what I mean? I see a lot when people who've never really held an instrument before, they're often like, wow, this thing is so light. I thought these things were heavy. It's because initially they look bigger in person, they look heavier in person, just because, you know, how they physically look. But in reality, how these things are made, how these instruments are made, is they're just hollowed wood or hollowed brass, you know, hollowed, you know, things like that. Hollowed wood, hollowed metal. Because when you really have to think about it, air has to travel out of these instruments so that these notes can be played in their full tonality. So if these instruments are made in a solid way, if they're just solid, there's nothing getting out of these instruments. You're just holding a big brick, or not a brick, You're just holding like a big block of metal or just a big hunk of wood. There's nothing being played. There's nothing coming out of these things because there has to be air traveling through them. So yeah, they're gonna be lightweight. I hope that, got into the confusion, but I can understand it though. Another thing as well, I'm gonna add a little more. Cause like I mentioned, it's just garlic cloves around in here. So I'm just gonna distribute that garlic all over. I'm gonna add some mozzarella in here. Don't get on me about how I say mozzarella. People get on me a lot by the way I say mozzarella. Please. What else? Another question that I got, which is a very great question, by the way, is what is the difference between rhythm and melody? So, again, which I can also see the difference and why this is why people can see them used interchangeably. So, give me a sec. I'm gonna come over there in a sec. I'm just like making sure these cheese is melting here. Wow, this looks amazing, guys. I'm gonna be eating these for days. Wait, I think I'd like more cheese. That's just me though. It has to be at 450 degrees. 450? 450. Right? 450. Wait, hold on. Oh, bake for 8 minutes. Okay, 450, and it's gonna be in there for 8 minutes because it's already technically cooked. We're just trying to make that cheese on the top boil. Okay, so difference in rhythm and melody. What am I doing here? Oh, okay. So the difference between rhythm and melody is that melody is the sequence of sound and the rhythm is the pattern of sound. And you're probably like, these words are also synonymous. What's going on here? So, I don't know if I was supposed to do that for real. I was just trying to do something extra. With rhythm, you've got the notes and the beats. That's what's moving the song. The melody is the song itself. You know what I mean? Give you something palatable for everybody. I'm gonna use Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. That's the melody. The rhythm is the cadence of how I'm singing the song. The rhythm is the pattern, the rhythm is the beat. We see this a lot, like in cards and stamps in Hobby Lobby that have music, but the tonation, the intonation, and the rhythms are not accurate at all.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
Ooh, so close, so close. So instead of 2 eighth notes, it was supposed to be a dotted 8th and 16th. So instead of happy birthday, they wrote happy, and that's obviously not right. But there's this really pretty composition of Happy Birthday that was played by the National Youth Orchestra like 10 years ago, and they surprised their conductor with it while they were rehearsing. It was really cute. I'm going to put the link in the description so you can watch it. Okay, back to the video. You understand that now? The melody is the same, the rhythm is just different now. But needless to say, I don't know why they don't really get like a extra say or like a musician's expert before they pump these products out, because if they're not playing in the right rhythm, why are they being put out to the public? It's making it seem like people don't even know how to read their own music. But we're like kind of, can you see? You can't really see what I'm doing, can you? Pasta cheese, right? So, which is, I really think that was a very excellent question. Philharmonic. I don't think I answered the difference between an orchestra and a philharmonic. There's no difference. Philharmonic is Greek for music loving, and people kind of use that to distinct themselves from other ensembles and other groups, because when you think about it, there are thousands of ensembles, there's thousands of groups and chambers and groups of musicians playing and performing for people today, and they're not all gonna be the New York Symphony Orchestra and the New York Symphony Orchestra. There's gonna be a New York Symphony Orchestra and a New York Philharmonic. They're just different words for each other. They all mean the same thing. This is gonna be so good. Get a load of me! So another thing I will teach you guys a little bit of is how to read music, but I'm not gonna go in too depth because I'm just not gonna do that too much to you guys. After all, I'm doing this on a Thursday night. I don't know when you're watching this, but I don't want you to sit here feeling, feeling all relaxed, and then I just throw a whole bunch of notations at you, and you're like, what? This is actually the perfect size. And here I was worrying. Sheesh. What does that do for me? Wow, I really cooked this. Okay. I'm so proud of myself. And at a very reasonable time. It's not even 8:30. Okay, I'm gonna flatten this out though. And it's not even at 450, guys. But that's okay. I can start cleaning around. Parsley flakes on here. I really don't know what parsley does, honestly, besides makes the food look good and garnished. But I mean, if it's not doing anything, as long as it makes it pretty, some things just are supposed to make things look pretty. Like paprika, I think it's supposed to add on more. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna clean up, and then I'm gonna put the breadsticks on a pan, and I'll show you guys how to read music. I'm gonna remember to record again this time. Also, hey, it's Future Trin here. This is the day after I recorded that video. I also want to make it known that if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, whether it's not even music related. If you have questions about music theory, of course, put them in the comments. But if you have questions about books, about cooking, anything that you want to comment, just feel free to. And if you have any questions, you can also have an opportunity to have a conversation with me at my first gig. It's on December 28th. I will not be telling you guys what I'm going to be playing, but it's going to be at the Chicago ARTCHIVES GALA. If you guys are in the Chicago area, it's going to be fun. I'll put the link to the tickets in my description below. And I hope to see you guys there. It's a gala, so you have to dress your very best in the most beautiful gowns and suits that you've ever seen in your lives. And it's a networking event. So if you also have things like your own business that you want to network with other people, and just come out and have a really nice time. It's going to be great. And you're also going to see some other musicians. There's going to be some violinists, some cellists, some pianists, some singers. It's going to be great. And it's an art experience. So I hope to see you guys there. Again, the link is in my description, and I hope to see you there. Go get your tickets. Okay, bye. I'm gonna give you a little cheat sheet. As long as you have an understanding of a whole note, you're kind of good from there. Because once you know a whole note has 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once you have a half note, you're really just cutting everything in half. So once you have a half note, half of a whole is 2. Half of 4 is 2. So it's 2 counts. A half note is 2 counts. Cut that in half. You've got 1 count for a quarter, because 4 quarters equal a whole. Does that make sense? It's starting to make more sense. Cut that in half. You have an eighth note. That's eighth of a half of a count. Then you have a 1/16. Then you have a 32nd. Then a 64th. We don't really use 32nd and 64ths as much, if not at all. I don't think I'll ever go in my entire career playing a 64th note. Fingers crossed, because that's insane. Now, I'm gonna bring this in. We're gonna go really slow, okay? So, let's say we have a measure with 4 notes in it. Well, this would mean that we are in 4/4 time. We're gonna use 4/4 time because it's the most easiest way to explain music theory in 4/4 time. Hold on. This is my little buddy just telling you got it. Okay, so with that, right, we're gonna go, I'm gonna explain this in the best way possible. All of these different notations equal 4. They're all the same value. And I'm gonna go in depth with these, right? So like we mentioned before, a little cheat sheet right here. We'll put the cheat sheet here. We won't hide our friend, right? So with our whole note here, which equals 4, it equals 4. It's pretty self-explanatory. 2 of each halves make a whole, which is 4. Then we've got our quarter note, right? Quarter note is 1 count. 4 of those equal 4 notes. Then it gets a little tricky. Now we're adding more that makes it look like it's more, but it's still the same. We've got an 8th note that's bracketed, if that makes sense. It's even smaller than a quarter. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's half of a quarter. So 2 of these quarters 2 of these eighths equal 1 full beat. Does that make sense? 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and. Now it gets even smaller with the 16th notes because a 16th is even smaller than an 8th note. Now we're making 4 16th notes equal 1 whole beat. So now we've got 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So I'm gonna go grab my tuner so it makes sense. And I'm gonna go check on this pasta. A little more, just a little more. It looks like it's starting to get that way, but just almost there. I don't wanna fry the pasta though. Okay, so we've got that, right? I'm gonna grab my tuner. Oops. So when I'm doing breathing exercises before I practice, I usually, I was listening to Beyonce. So when I go to my tuner, right, we're gonna be in 100 beats per measure, and we're already in 4/4 time, and the subdivision is gonna be a quarter note, just like I mentioned. The quarter note is 1 note. So when it looks like this, right, it's gonna sound like this, right? This is the pulse. This is how fast we're going. So if we're in a 4-bar measure or a 4-note measure, and this counts as each quarter note, this is how each quarter note is gonna sound. This is how long they're gonna be. So you've already got this kind of covered. 2, 3, 4. And like I mentioned before, this all has the same value. So I'm gonna go down each note so it makes sense, right? Okay, ready? 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Does that make sense? I really hope that makes sense. To make it even more simple, we have different ways to change the subdivision. So you have your quarter note here, you can change it to an 8th note because it looks just like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you want to change it up again, you can change it to your 16th notes so it looks just like this, right? You still have the ticks. 1 E and a, oops. Those are triplets. That's not what we're doing right now, but here we go. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? My favorite time signature, honestly, is 3/4, because I love me a good waltz. That will be our next video, so stay in tune for that. I was gonna try and fit it in here, but I feel like that would have overwhelmed the lot of you. If you want to be even more funky, if you wanna see something really funky, this is the quarter note. You want to see 30 seconds. This is 30 seconds right here. This is what 30-second notes look like. This is how it's gonna sound. Especially this fast. At 100 beats per minute, 30-second notes are kind of fast. What I did learn is the pulse for the Michael Giacchino's Batman. I think, you know, in, what's that song? What's the song? It's Can't Fight City Halloween or something like that. And you know when the strings are going. It's going at, I think, 152 beats per minute. I think even faster than that. 252? Not 25. Way too fast. I can even check if that's right. I don't know if I'm right. Let me see. Here it sounds right, but with the recording, it could rush or it could be falling behind. You know, I don't want to keep cooking this pasta any longer because now I'm just gonna have crispy noodles. But I think it looks good regardless. You guys want to see? I know you do. I think this looks pretty fantastic for my first time. Hey, if it looks bad to you, You don't have to eat it. I do. We're gonna use my lemon plate. Obviously, if you're not 21, you can't drink wine. But I did buy a wine to pair with this pasta. Okay. So I've only been 21 for about 3 months, and I don't really know much about wine. So I'm really just working my way up. I'm not starting off with the most expensive wine known to man. I'm starting off slow. And plus, I don't really think there's much of a difference. If you really, really care about prices of wine, that's your prerogative. But wine is wine. If it's $5, sure, this was $5. If it's $1, oh, that's another story. But I'm trying things out, working my palate, trying things out and making things, you know, pair well with the food that I'm eating. Specific flavor profiles when you're drinking wine with pasta. If you have a meatier, like red sauce type of pasta, you're usually supposed to eat it with a red wine, a medium dry wine, medium red. But if you have the, you know, lighter Alfredo, cheesy, creamier sauces of pasta, you pair that with a white wine, like a Chardonnay or a Pinot Grigio, which I don't like. I tried Pinot Grigio once with a friend, my friend Anna. We went to lunch one time because we both go to DePaul. And she ordered the house white, you know, Pinot Grigio. And I tried it and I just didn't like it. I'm not gonna knock Pinot Grigio forever, but it's not gonna be my very first choice when I want a wine. And quite honestly, I think I've only been trying white wines. So this is actually my first one. This is a Pinot Noir. Winemaker selection. Again, I'm starting off slow. Like I'm working my way up. Cause like there's nothing to build off of if you start off with like a $50 wine. And I'm not buying wine for $50 if I can get something just as good for $5. For now. I mean, you know, you can tell the difference. A $5 wine, and this is only like this is only a year old. So, and there's 13.5% alcohol. You know, I still don't understand the difference between that. I don't know. Story though, the first time I've ever had wine was completely on accident. I was 15, and this was around my youngest nephew's christening. And it was completely on me that my dad and I showed up very late because I was in charge of the directions, and I put the address in, and there were two of the same places with the same name, with the same address in the same opposite, like in the same direction. They didn't have the same address. It's just that the church had the same name as the other church. And it was like, oh, this looks like in the direction of where we have to go. And this also, yeah, and we got there. And we had no idea who these people were. So we got there at a very wrong time. There was a train, and the train just delayed the whole thing. And we showed up, and we were there for the communion. And you know how communions usually have grape juice and stuff like that, and you know, the little cracker on top. But this specific communion, however, I don't know what kind of vendors they had, but within the communion, it was red wine. And usually sometimes they have grape juice, Concord, stuff like that. So when I tried it for the first time, not communion, I've had communion before, but when I had this specific communion and I tasted it, I was like, is this grape juice expired? And my dad, he drinks it. He's like, he chuckles a little bit. He's like, this is actually wine. And a little part of me, now that I'm older, I think a little part of me thinks that he was like a little relieved that that's what my initial response was. Because again, I was 15 at the time. And, you know, around that time when you're in high school, you usually do try things out like alcohol and stuff like that. So you're bound to just be a little bit, you know, rambunctious, a little sneaky. So for him to see that, as me just being a 15-year-old, I was like, maybe he was glad. Maybe it was just like a laugh of relief. I don't know. I think this looks good. But you know how things look good, but they're just like, they might be a little scary once you taste them. It all becomes in the test. So yeah, so yes, I did pick Pinot Noir. I wanted to find a Chianti, not on some Hannibal Lecter stuff, but I'm just saying like, that's what I searched, and they said a nice Chianti would be good with a meaty red tomato type of pasta sauce. So I'm gonna open this up. The first time I ever heard of Pinot Noir was from this show called Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's a very kooky show. Is that the right amount to be pouring? Okay. This character, his name is Titus Andromedon, and he sings this song about Pinot Noir. He's like, Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir. It's been playing in my head ever since I've been opening up and looking at Pinot Noir. So it's just, yeah. I need a fork. We're not Neanderthals here. It's actually really not bad. And I was following a recipe, and I didn't really follow any specific measurement. Wait, that's good. My biggest fear was that this was gonna be really bland. Like this would have no flavor. And it does. I feel like I could have been a little bit more generous, but I was already too scared in the beginning. They just, yep, smells like wine. This doesn't really taste like anything. Maybe it's because it's really paired well with the pasta. Because it tastes like water. Because I think the acidity of the alcohol and the acidity of the tomatoes and everything else kind of cancels itself out. Wow. That's interesting. That's really how it's supposed to be paired? You know, I was really expecting like a fruity kind of thing. If I freed my palate with something salty, and if I get some water, because I really want to taste this wine. Or maybe Pinot Noir is just not like a fruity wine. I snapped though. It's like, what are the notes in here? Hold on. I mean, I do have to take in consideration, this wine was $5. Let's see here. There's notes of plum and berries. Yeah, I knew it was more on the drier side. It's definitely more dry. I don't know how they do that with grapes. Wow, this is cute. They have a little they have a thing where it's like this pairs really well with asparagus and pork loin. Well, this is definitely not asparagus and pork loin, but you know, still very tasty. Next time though, I think instead of getting a 4-cheese marinara sauce, I'm definitely gonna get like a marinara sauce, because I think the 4-cheese makes it more cheesy and like buttery and like more creamy instead of like the tomato rugged spaghetti, because I was really thinking of the spaghetti mostaccioli taste in my head, but it's a more creamier, like still spaghetti, but it's like not as much, and that's fine. I think that's the reason why. That's fine. You just live and you learn. This was great. Cool. Okay, now I know what to do. I should have got dessert. Maybe there's something in the freezer. Well guys, that was me cooking, as well as teaching you guys about music and everything under the sun. Not everything under the sun, obviously, because music is way more in depth than what I just gave you in the however minutes future editing trend. Give me the amount of time stamp that this video is. She's gonna have so much fun, considering that we did not record for the first half and had to redo it. But even still, I had fun, and I hope you did too. I'm gonna go eat some more of this and watch Intergalactic for the 3rd time this week. I'll see you guys. Love you, bye. Oh. I also forgot the 20th and 21st century era of music, of classical music. That's where Stravinsky came in. Stravinsky and, whoa. Which we have to give homage to all of the Russian composers as well. The Russian composers over there, cooking. Their pencils, fire. it was on fire. They had to make new quills, new whatever they was writing on. You got Prokofiev, you got Shostakovich, you got Rachmaninoff, you got Tchaikovsky, Stravinsky, Bobinsky. It was really just cooking stuff up in there.